crash on a dying planet. The sky was red like blood and smoke covered the air. A small human ship fell from the clouds, broken wings spinning, engines on fire. The crash was loud. Louder than thunder, then silence, deep silence inside the wreck. A young man moved, slow and weak. His name was Ethan, a pilot. Maybe the last one alive from his team. His face had blood, his suit was torn. Pain shot through his leg. He tried to stand, but fell again. The ground under him was not earth. It was soft, red, and full of strange, glowing roots. He looked around. Eyes half closed, breathing hard, no sound from the combs, no signal, no rescue, just red trees, tall and twisted, like bones reaching for the sky. The air felt heavy, his vision blurred. And then something moved in the trees, quiet, fast. Watching, he pulled his small blaster. Hands shaking, he pointed it at the shadows, but nothing came out, only the wind. Only the sound of leaves that were not really leaves. They moved like they were alive. Then he heard it. Soft and cold, a whisper like wind inside his mind to hurt. "Human, let me heal you," and turned fast. But no one was there, just the empty forest. He backed up to the wreck, holding his blaster close, pain in his side. He could not fight. "Not now." Again, the whisper came, closer, like it was next to his ear. "You bleed, but I do not want you to die." He looked up, and she was there, tall. Silver skin, eyes like blue fire, long dark hair moving in the wind. She had 4 fingers on each hand, and glowing green herbs in her palm. She was not human, but not a monster either. She looked scared, not of him, but of the world around her, of the air, of the noise. She stepped closer, slow and careful. Like a deer near fire, Ethan raised his weapon again. Breathing fast, but his hand shook. She stopped, holding up her hands. No weapon, no danger, only help. He tried to speak, but coughed blood. His body gave up, knees hit the ground, then blackness. When he woke, the light was dim, warm, orange and blue like a soft flame. He was inside a cave, round walls glowing with tiny stars. He touched his leg. The pain was less. The wound was closed. He blinked and looked around. She was sitting near the wall, watching him, her hands glowing green again. The herbs in a small bowl, mixing slowly. "Where am I?" he asked. "Safe," she said. For now he tried to stand, but something was wrong. The cave entrance was sealed, not with stone, but with energy. Soft like water, but solid. "Why am I locked in?" he asked, his voice sharp. She looked down. "Afraid again to keep you alive," she said, "not to trap you." He did not trust her. But his body was weak, his wounds too deep. She had healed him, yes, but why? He was a human, her enemy maybe. "Who are you?" he asked. She waited a long time before she spoke. She said, "I am called Sri." He looked at her closely now. The way she sat, always near the wall, never looking him in the eye, like she had known fear for many years, like she had lost something long ago. "You knew humans," he said. "Jace," she answered. "A long time ago, before the fire. Before the war." He remembered now. The mission, the secret orders, find alien tech, recover what was left, bring it back. But they never said anything about survivors. "About people like her you saved me," Ethan said. "Why? Because you were alive and in pain," she said. "That is enough, but you fear me." He said, "Yes," she said, "I fear all humans, but not you, not right now." Suddenly there was a sound outside the cave, sharp and high, like a scream made of metal. Sra stood fast, her body tense. "What is that?" Ethan asked. She shook her head. "Something that does not belong here," she whispered. "Something that Huntsy moved to the energy wall, tried to look through, but saw only red trees and dust. And in the distance a shadow moved fast between the trunks. Tall, not natural, not animal. "What lives on this planet?" Ethan asked, voice low. She looked at him, eyes full of old sadness. "Not much," she said. "Not any more? Then who watches us?" he asked. Sra did not answer. Her hand held the wall, her face pale. "You should not have come here." "Human," she said, her voice cold now. "But I did," Ethan replied. "And I'm not leaving without answers." Outside, the wind rose again, and something laughed in the dark. Not human, not alien, but something worse, the alien widow's secret. The wind outside. The cave grew stronger, and the red trees moved like they were alive, whispering things only the dead could understand. The sky above was dark, now painted with ash and violet light, and inside the glowing cave Ethan sat near the wall, eyes on the woman who had saved him, not sure if he was safe or if danger had only just begun. She was quiet. Her name was Her silver skin reflected the cave's light like water under the moon. Her face was not young, but not old either, filled with something he could not name, maybe sadness, maybe memories, maybe both. Ethan watched her mix more herbs in the stone bowl, her fingers soft but sure, her hands glowing faint green. She did not look at him, not yet. Her eyes stayed low, focused on the mixture like it was her last task in this world. Why do you live here? He asked, voice softer now, less fear, more curiosity. She paused, her breath slow and deep, like she was remembering something heavy. Then she spoke, not looking up, because there is nowhere else left for me, she said. I am alone on this planet, and I've been alone for many years. You said there was war, Ethan said, between your people and mine, right? She nodded slowly, her hair falling across her face. Your kind came from the stars with fire and machines. We did not understand. You took many things and gave back only death. I lost everything, my home, my family, my mate. Your mate? Ethan asked, feeling something cold in his chest. Yes, she said, and her voice cracked just a little. He was a healer like me, kind, strong, brave. He believed we could speak with humans. He believed there was hope. He was wrong. Ethan did not speak. He looked away, shame rising like heat in his face. We did not all agree with the war, he said. Some of us never wanted it, but you fought in it. She asked, not angry, just tired. No, he said, I was too young. I trained later. I was sent here not to kill, but to recover lost things, tech data, maybe survivors. Then you found one, she said, voice thin like smoke, and I found one too. She finally looked up at him now, and her eyes were bright, but wet like stars caught behind glass. You remind me of him, she said, not your face, but the way you speak, the way you breathe, like the world is still beautiful, even after all it has done to you. Ethan did not know what to say, so he just listened, his heart beating loud in his chest, louder than before. She stood up slow, like her bones were made of memory, and walked to the wall, touching a crystal there. It blinked once, then opened a small window to the outside, just a crack, just enough to see the trees. They are watching, she said, not animals, not machines, not my people. Something else came after the war, something that eats the light, something that feeds on noise and metal and pain. Ethan moved closer, peeking through the crack, and saw nothing, only the red forest. But somehow he believed her. Something out there felt wrong, felt hungry. How have you survived? He asked. How do you keep them away? She smiled, but it was sad and small. I hide, I stay quiet. I do not light fire, I do not cry out when I dream, I do not speak to the stars, and still they come. Then why help me? Ethan asked. Why speak? Why risk it? Because I was tired, she said, tired of silence, tired of fear, and maybe because I wanted to remember love one last time, even if it kills me. That word hit Ethan like a soft hammer. Love, not spoken loud, not romantic, not full of fire, but honest, like rain falling on dry earth. He looked at her, really looked at her, and saw not just an alien, but a woman, broken by war, still holding on to kindness, like it was all she had left. You are brave, he said, braver than anyone I know. No, she said, I am just lonely. A sound cut through the trees, then sharp and sudden like metal, screaming, and both of them jumped. She closed the window fast and stepped back, eyes wide, heart racing. They are closer now, she said. We must not stay here too long. Where can we go? Ethan asked. If this is not safe, what is? There is an old ruin, she said, the heart of my people still buried, still breathing. It may protect us if it still remembers me. Will you take me? He asked. Yes, she said, but only if you promise not to harm it, not to steal, not to bring others. I promise, he said with no hesitation. Good, she whispered. Then tomorrow we leave. She turned to rest near the wall, her head on a soft stone, her eyes closing slowly. Ethan sat nearby, not sleeping, just thinking, watching her breathing, listening to the soft hum of the cave outside. The shadows moved again, slow and hungry and waiting. The ghosts of war. The morning came without a sun, only a strange pale light falling from the sky like dust from broken stars. The air was cold, but still the red trees whispered again, and the ground felt softer than before, as if something under it was waking up slowly and watching. Ethan stood near the cave entrance, dressed in what was left of his flight suit, holding a small bag filled with tools, a cracked map, and the little food he had left. His leg hurt, but the pain was dull now, and his body moved better than before, thanks to Sra and her glowing green herbs. Ra walked ahead, silent, graceful like wind, moving through shadow. Her silver skin caught the light between the trees and made her look like a ghost from a forgotten dream. She carried nothing, no weapon, no food, just memory and purpose. They moved through the forest together, slowly, careful not to step on the glowing roots, not to disturb the broken stones, not to speak too loud. The silence was deep here, and it did not like being broken. After a while, Ethan saw the remains of something large, bones of steel and glass, twisted like claws reaching into the sky. It was an old outpost, human-made from the first days of the war. He stopped and stared, his eyes full of questions. His breath caught in his throat. "We fought here," he said, voice low like a whisper, not proud, just hollow. Yes. Ra answered, "and many died here on both sides. This ground remembers everything, it never forgets." Ethan stepped closer and saw markings on the metal, faded now, but still clear, names, dates, mission codes. This place had been alive once, full of voices and orders and dreams. Now only dust remained. He found a cracked visor on the ground, broken and black with burn marks. He picked it up gently, holding it like it was sacred. He looked at Sra, her face still calm, but eyes dark with old sorrow. "You said you lost your mate," he asked. "Was it here?" She nodded, once, then looked away. He tried to speak again, but no words came, only the wind spoke now through broken walls and empty halls. They moved on past the ruins, through narrow paths lined with stone towers, half buried in red vines and old tech, some human, some alien, some both. Ethan noticed that the machines were dead, no lights, no sound, but some still pointed at the sky, as if waiting for a signal that would never come. "Why did we do this?" he asked, not expecting an answer, not looking for blame. "Just aching because we feared each other," she said, "and fear always feeds the fire." He looked at her walking through the ashes of 1,000 memories and wondered how she had survived, how she had kept her mind, how she had not turned bitter like so many would have. "You are strong," he said, "stronger than anyone I have met." "No," she replied, "I am just still here." They reached a stone bridge, cracked, but holding it, crossed a deep pit filled with blue mist and strange sounds below. Ethan leaned over and saw shapes moving under the fog, slow and long like sleeping giants do. "Not fall," she warned gently. "They do not wake often, but when they do, nothing survives." "What are they?" he asked. "Old guardians," she said, "from before the war even. I do not know their names. They were built to protect. Now they only wait." They crossed and walked down into a valley, the trees thinner here, the sky wider. The silence. Hfycodex stopped near a circle of black stones covered in alien writing, glowing faint blue. She placed her hand on one and it pulsed like a heartbeat. "This is the edge of the sacred ground," she said. "Beyond this is the heart of the ruins, the place where the memory lives." They stepped inside, and the air changed. It felt thick with emotion, like walking through water made of tears. Ethan saw images on every wall, moving images like ghost memories replaying on stone and crystal. He saw alien children running through fields that no longer existed. He saw elders teaching songs that no longer had words. He saw lovers dancing under stars that had burned away. He saw peace before the fire. Then he saw the war begin again in lights and screams, ships falling, bodies, burning machines, crushing life like paper. And in one moment he saw her, Sra, standing in the middle of it, holding a broken body, her mate, eyes closed, arms limp, blood on his chest. Ethan turned away, his hands shaking, heart racing, breath stuck between guilt and grief. He felt her hand touch his arm, light as a feather. "You needed to see," she said, "not to punish, but to understand." He nodded slowly, his eyes still wet, his soul still heavy. They moved deeper until they reached a door made of gold and glass, untouched by time. It opened with a soft sound, and inside was a chamber filled with light, soft and warm and breathing. "The heart of the ruins," Sra said. "This place is alive, and it knows you are here. What does it want?" Ethan asked. "To see if you are different," she answered, "to see if there is still hope behind them." Outside the chamber, the shadows moved again, faster, now louder. Now something else had entered the valley, something that did not belong, something that remembered war and wanted more. Hunters from the sky above the valley changed from soft red to burning white, as if something angry had awakened beyond the clouds. A deep hum filled the air, not like wind, not like thunder, but like engines, like weapons, like death coming fast and without warning. Ethan turned his eyes to the sky and saw them, black shapes falling from orbit, sharp and fast like knives made of fire. Human dropships, cold and full of purpose. His chest tightened, his legs froze. For a moment Sra stood near the entrance of the heart chamber, her eyes wide with fear, her body still, but her voice broke the silence. "They have come for you," she said, "but they will kill us both." "They were not supposed to come," he whispered. "I sent No signal. I said nothing. She looked at him, pain in her eyes, no longer fear, just disappointment, just truth. You were followed the machines in the forest, marked you the night. You crashed, they sent your location without words, without light, they always. Call the hunters. The dropships landed hard near the edge of the valley, throwing dirt and ash into the sky. From them came soldiers dressed in black armor with no names on their suits, faces hidden by glass and steel, their weapons glowing with blue. Energy ready for war, not rescue. Ethan stepped back, confused, his thoughts racing like fire. They should be here to help, he said. They should take us home. No. She answered, they are not here to help, they are here to clean, they are here to erase the soldiers. Moved fast, scanning the valley using drones that flew like insects, cold and silent. The machines searched everything, the ruins, the trees, the mist, nothing escaped their eyes. One of the drones found the cave entrance and blinked red. A signal was sent, and the soldiers turned, all weapons pointed toward the heart chamber. We must go, Sra said. We cannot fight them. Ethan said, they will listen. I am one of them, but will they see you that way, she asked, or will they see just another witness, just another loose thread to burn? Ethan took a deep breath and stepped outside, raising both hands, high voice clear and strong. Do not fire. I am Lieutenant Ethan Marlowe, pilot of the scout ship Albatross. I survived the crash. I am alive and not hostile. I have critical data and I request immediate evacuation for a moment. There was no reply, only the wind, only the buzz of machines. Then a voice came from a helmeted man, tall and broad, his armor marked with red lines. A commander. Lieutenant Marlowe, you were declared lost. Mission scrubbed. Orders updated. Return is not authorized. Your presence is now a breach. You are to be neutralized and your location purged. Ethan's heart stopped, his hands dropped, his voice cracked. You cannot be serious. I am human. I am yours. The commander raised his weapon. Not anymore. A bolt of light flew toward him, but missed by inches, hitting the stone beside him. Fire exploded, smoke rose. Ethan fell back, rolling down the path toward Sra, who pulled him behind a wall of crystal, her hands already glowing with healing light. They will not stop, she said. They do not see life, they only see orders. We have to move, Ethan gasped. We have to go. Sra nodded and touched the heart wall with both hands. The chamber opened, a path behind it, a narrow tunnel lined with light and old machines, still alive, still humming. They ran through it, footsteps echoing above the hum of energy. The walls shifting as if guiding them, protecting them. The sound of soldiers grew distant, but never stopped, always following, always hunting. Ethan looked back once and saw drones melting as they passed certain gates. The heart was fighting back, defending its last breath. They reached a large chamber filled with water, glowing green and gold. Above it hung a sphere of light, turning slow, like a sun trapped in a cage. What is this, he asked, breathless. The core, she answered, the last piece of my people. It sees you, it sees me, it will choose if we live or die. Then help me speak to it. He said, help me save you. She looked at him and for the first time smiled, not sad, not tired, but alive. I must bond with it, she said. It will take my body, maybe my mind, but it will listen through me, only through Mano. He said, you cannot. She touched his face, hand warm and soft. You gave me hope, Ethan, and now I will give it to you. Before he could stop her, she stepped into the light, her body floating, her voice singing a sound older than words. The core answered with a hum that shook the world outside. The valley shook, the machines screamed, the soldiers looked to the sky and saw the clouds break. A pulse of light spread across the ruins, shutting down weapons, crashing drones, erasing data inside the chamber. Ethan fell to his knees, eyes on the sphere, now glowing bright as a new sun, and in the middle of it Sra still stood, her eyes closed, her lips moving, her heart still beating. The war had come again, but this time something ancient and kind had answered. Heart of the ruins. The light from the core spread through the walls of the chamber, touching every stone, every root, every memory. The ruins came alive with sound like voices whispering in a language that did not need words, a song older than time. Full of pain, full of love, full of power. Ethan stood frozen at the edge of the light, his eyes wide, his breath locked in his chest. He could see Sra inside the sphere, her body floating, her arms raised, her hair moving like it was part of the light. Her face calm, her lips still singing that same quiet song. The soldiers outside the ruins felt the pulse too. Their helmets flashed red, their weapons flickered, their come screamed with static. The ground under them shook, not from explosions, but from something deeper, something that was not made by human hands inside the chamber. Ethan took a step forward, but the light pushed him back gently, not with anger but with warning. The core was working now. It was awake and it needed space. He looked around and saw the walls change, images forming from the stones, memories shaping into pictures. He saw Sci's people not just in war but in peace-building gardens under alien suns, raising children, teaching music, growing cities shaped like trees that touched the clouds. He saw the first human ship arrive, not with war but with wonder, the two sides meeting, sharing food, sharing stories. Hope was there, real and bright and soft. Then fear came, small at first, a spark, a shot fired in panic, a misunderstanding, a death, and then another, and then many. The cities burned, the trees fell, the song turned to silence. Ethan's hands clenched at his sides, his throat dry, his eyes stinging with truth. He saw it all, not just the history but the cost, the real cost paid in voices lost forever. The core pulsed again, and Sci's voice rose higher, not with pain but with strength. She was guiding it, holding it, showing it something different, something human and not cruel, something alive. Then came a sound from outside, louder than before, a sharp scream like metal breaking. The soldiers had called for backup. A ship now hovered above the valley, a black triangle with red lights circling its edges, its weapons ready to fire. They are going to destroy this place, Ethan whispered. They do not care what lives here, they only want silence. He ran to the edge of the chamber where the wall opened just enough to show the sky. The ship above was charging its main cannon, red energy gathering in its center, glowing like a false sun. Ethan reached for his comm, still clipped to his belt, and turned it on, voice sharp and fast. This is Lieutenant Marlowe. Do not fire. I repeat, do not fire. There is living intelligence here. There is peaceful technology here. If you destroy this place, you destroy the last voice of an ancient people. The only answer was a short buzz, then silence. Then the red glow grew stronger. They are not listening, he whispered. They never were. He turned back to Sci, who still floated inside the core, now wrapped in golden light, her song fading into a slow hum like a heartbeat waiting for its final breath. He stepped forward again. The light around the sphere flickered for a moment, then allowed him in just enough to touch the edge of the platform. You have to stop them, he said, not as an order, not as a plea, but as the only thing left to say. The light inside the core changed shape, twisting around Sci like wings made of stars, and she opened her eyes, now bright with something ancient, something fierce. Her voice came not through sound but through the walls, the air, the light itself. I can hold the strike, she said, but only once, only for a moment. If they fire again, I will fade. The core will sleep forever and nothing will remain. Ethan's hands shook. He knew what she was offering, not defense, not survival, but sacrifice. Then let me go, he said. Let me face them, let me make them see. No, she answered gently. If you leave, they will kill you too, and your voice will never be heard. Then what do we do, he asked, eyes full of fire. We show them the truth, she said, and the light around her grew brighter than the sun outside. The ship fired. The cannon sent a beam of red death toward the ruins, faster than sound, hotter than fire. But the beam struck a shield made not of metal, not of tech, but of memory, a voice of soul. The light from the core met the beam and split it, turned it into wind, into dust, into silence. The ship above spun out of control, falling into the red trees, vanishing into smoke. The soldiers below fell to their knees, weapons useless, minds full of visions not their own inside the chamber. The light dimmed, the sphere slowed, the song stopped, and Sci fell gently onto the platform, her body still, her breath weak, but her eyes open. Ethan ran to her, catching her before she slipped from the edge, his arms holding her close, his voice shaking. You did it, he said. You saved them. No, she whispered. We saved each other. Fire and light smoke rose through the sky like a black river flowing upward into broken clouds. The air tasted of ash and heat. The forest near the valley had turned into a sea of fire, glowing red and gold with every breath. The ruins shook like they were alive and afraid. Ethan held Sci in his arms, her skin cold, her breathing shallow, her eyes still open but dim like fading stars. Her voice had gone quiet, but her heart still beat soft and slow like a drum in the dark. The core behind them pulsed weak and tired, the light flickering like a candle in the wind, no longer strong enough to fight, no longer awake enough to sing. It had used everything to protect them, to save a history that would otherwise vanish like dust. Ethan looked up and saw the sky full of falling machines, some crashing into The trees, some burning in the air, some vanishing before they touched the ground. The great black ship that had fired the cannon was now gone. Broken by its own violence, consumed by the storm it tried to unleash, but danger had not passed, not fully. Not yet. The surviving soldiers were still in the valley, lost and confused, their weapons silent, their commands gone, their minds full of images they did not understand. One of them walked forward, helmet removed, face pale, eyes wide, not with anger, but with fear and wonder. He looked at Ethan, then at Sri, then at the ruins around him. "What is this place?" he asked, his voice soft like a child waking from a nightmare. Ethan stood slowly, holding Sri close, one arm around her shoulders, the other pointing toward the heart of the ruins. "This is the truth," he said. "This is what we tried to destroy. This is what we never tried to understand more." Soldiers came, some wounded, some crying. None of them raised a weapon. None of them gave an order. The ruins had spoken to them in silence, in light and feeling, and it had been louder than any gun. Shra opened her eyes again, her hand finding Ethan's fingers, her voice barely a whisper. "They see now," she said, "not all, but some, and that is enough. You need rest," he said. "You gave too much." She smiled just a little, not with joy, but with peace. "I was never meant to live forever," she said. "I only wanted to be heard." Ethan helped her to a smooth stone, where she sat, breathing slow, her back against the wall, her eyes watching the sky where light and fire still danced. He turned to the soldiers, speaking with a voice that no longer belonged to a soldier, no longer to a mission, just to a man who had learned too much and lost even more. "We were sent here to recover alien technology. We were told this world was dead. We were told the war had ended and nothing was left. We were wrong. These ruins are not empty. They are full of memory, full of pain, full of love. We came with weapons when we should have come with questions. Now we must decide. Will we finish the job, or will we begin again?" No one answered, not with words, but one by one. They lowered their weapons, dropped their packs, removed their helmets, like a sign of surrender, or maybe like a prayer. Ethan returned to Sreya, who now looked at him with a strange calm, her hand still glowing faint green, her body still tired, but her spirit brighter than before. "You gave them a choice," he said. "You gave me one too." She leaned her head against his shoulder, her voice the sound of wind in leaves. "I only opened the door you chose to walk through." He looked around the chamber, where walls had once shown fire. Now they showed gardens again, children playing, stars above cities that no longer stood, but maybe could again. He remembered the message he had recorded in his ship, a message full of lies, full of silence. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the last beacon, a small silver disc blinking with blue light. He looked at it for a long time, then at Sra, then at the soldiers now sitting quietly among the ruins, not as enemies, not as thieves, just as people who had seen something sacred. Ethan pressed the beacon once and it blinked red, ready to send a signal home. Then he set it on the ground and crushed it under his boot. The light died, the silence returned, and with it Pissarra smiled again, this time without sadness. "You chose to stay," she said, not as a question, but as truth. He nodded, holding her hand tighter. "There is nothing left for me out there," he said, "but maybe there is something here. Then let us build it," she whispered. Together, the light from the core pulsed once more, not in warning, not in fear, just in thanks. The fire outside faded, the sky above cleared, the valley breathed, and for the first time in a long time the world did not feel broken. The message and the memory. The sky above the valley was quiet now, touched with soft gold and gentle blue. The fire was gone, the smoke had cleared, the wind moved slow and warm across the ruins, like it was breathing with the planet, not against it. Ethan stood on the high stone ledge near the heart chamber, his eyes scanning the forest below, the trees now calm, the roots no longer glowing, the earth resting after so many years of pain. Behind him the core still pulsed once every few moments, like a heart that had seen too much but refused to stop its light, no longer blinding, no longer burning, just steady, just alive. Ra sat beside the core, her body weak but stable, her eyes watching the stars return to the sky one by one, small lights that had always been there but hidden by war, by fear, by fire. The soldiers who had survived now moved carefully through the ruins, not as fighters, not as hunters, just as guests. Some helped gather broken tech, some cleaned the paths, some sat in silence, staring at the old images on the walls, trying to understand what they had almost destroyed. Ethan held a small recording device in his hands, round and silver with a single blinking light. It was old, it was human, it was meant to send reports back to Earth, And now it would carry something different. He looked into the lens and spoke, his voice slow, steady, full of something heavier than sadness and stronger than hope. This is Lieutenant Ethan Marlowe, once of the scout ship Albatross, now survivor of the Vera System mission, now witness to something greater than any war, greater than any order. We came here thinking the planet was dead. We were wrong. We were told this place held tech and nothing more. We were wrong. What we found was not a weapon, not an enemy, not a threat, but a memory, a people, a song, a soul. The woman who saved me is called Sra, the last of her kind. A healer, a widow, a voice that never stopped singing even when the world told her to go silent. She gave her life to protect us even when we did not deserve it, and now she lives not in fear but in light. If this message reaches Earth, do not send more soldiers, do not send machines, do not come with greed or fear or silent scum. With hands open, come with minds ready to listen. Come with hearts willing to heal. He ended the recording and placed the device on a stone near the edge of the ruins, its signal blinking once, then again, then steady. It would wait, it would repeat his words until someone heard or until time buried it under dust. And Rutsra looked at him, her face lit by the soft glow of the chamber, her voice a whisper made of wind and memory. Will they hear you? She asked. Will they care? Maybe, he answered, maybe not, but the truth is here now, and it will not vanish again. She reached out her hand, and he took it, warm fingers against his palm, still strong, still kind. What will you do now? She asked, not with fear, not with doubt, just with curiosity, like one friend to another. I will stay, he said, not because I have no place to go, but because this place has become my place too. Then you must learn the old ways, she said with a small smile. You must listen to the soil, to the roots, to the stars, and to the stones. He nodded, ready to learn, ready to listen, ready to begin again. Days passed, and the valley changed little by little. Color returned to the trees. Birds returned to the branches. Small animals walked the paths. Without fear, the ruins no longer whispered of war. Now they hummed with new voices, new stories. The soldiers built a small outpost, not for battle, not for control, just for watching, just for guarding the silence. They no longer asked for orders. They no longer waited for new missions. They had seen something that made them more than what they were. Rethan spent his days walking the old paths, learning the names of the stones, the songs of the wind, the healing roots from Sra, who now smiled more often than she spoke, who now walked slowly through the ruins like a queen without a crown, without a throne, but full of grace. They built a garden near the heart chamber, planting seeds, both alien and human, watching them grow side by side in soil that had once tasted only blood. Every evening they lit a small fire and told stories, not of war, not of death, but of light, of peace, of healing. And every night Ethan looked up at the stars, waiting to see a new ship, a new voice, a new answer, not with fear, but with hope. The core behind them kept pulsing, always soft, always watching, always remembering. The world had changed, not through battle, not through victory, but through memory, through voice, through the choice to be more. And in the heart of a planet once broken, a widow and a human sat side by side. No longer enemies, no longer strangers, just two souls sharing one quiet truth. We are still here, we are still alive, we are not alone.